Hi, Katie.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I forgot my prop. I had a prop. I'll just wave my hands around. It's okay. Um, there are a couple of things I want to tell you about tonight before you get started. Um, First of all, welcome to the Alembic. I'm really glad you're here. Um, the Alembic offers classes, workshops, and events all organized around meditation and movement, neuroscience, and psychedelics. If you haven't heard, we recently got a 64-channel EEG machine, so we're starting up the neuroscience lab for real. And we have a bunch of really exciting meditation events coming up this month. In particular, this Saturday is another Christina Lazar alligator lizards Saturday. So were any of you at the last one? They made sigils. So they thought of like it's a magical symbol. So they used a peak experience that they'd had, made a sigil out of it, and then charged the sigil. So she did like a full like visionary art magic thing. Heard it was very, very cool. So I don't know what she's doing this Saturday, but it's going to be interesting. So that's Saturday at 1. And then the other thing I want you to know about, so you can tell your friends, is we're starting a beginner class. So it's going to be 6 weeks long, and Tucker Peck is teaching it. And we realized for a lot of people who've been like using an app, it's hard to just kind of throw them into the deep end here or on Thursday night or for some of the other classes. Don't sell yourself short, Chandra. It's pretty deep. And we want people to be able to kind of have the space and time and structure to orient their practice before they choose what else they want to do. So that's going to be a 6-week long class. It starts on the last Wednesday of this month. So if you have friends who are interested in like your weird meditation hobby or who are looking for a practice, that would be a really good way for them to get started. It's later on so that people can come from SF. So it starts at 7:30 and goes until 9. So it's a little bit later in the evening, and it's here. Yeah. And it's in person only, and we're capping it at 25 people. So if you know people who would want to be in that class, let them know soon so they can sign up. And then the last thing, this is the prop I don't have, so just you have to imagine it. But there's an amazing sheet that Hannah made that's on the coffee table in the lobby. And on that sheet, there's a QR code that you can use to sign up to be part of the Alembic volunteer community. So a lot of the things that you see happening here are run by volunteers. And the volunteer community has like meetups and events that are for volunteers only. And we're always looking for more volunteers. So if you're at all interested in helping make some of these things happen, I would encourage you to check out the flyer that Hannah made, which is on the coffee table over there. And the QR code will take you to a volunteer sign-up form. There are 3 different types of things you can sign up for. One is to host events, like to check tickets and refill the tea water. Another is a project volunteer, because we wanted to have something for the people who like want to volunteer but are more introverted. So we have like small projects that volunteers can do. And then finally, Alembic Labs. Now that we have our fancy EEG device, we're going to be looking for volunteers for the lab. So if you're interested in the scientific side of this project, you can register to be a labs volunteer. Okay, without further ado, really glad you're all here. Welcome, Chandra.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
You know that Katie is the director of the Alembic? Executive director, right? Is that what you call yourself?
That is one of my jobs.
One of your many jobs, and neuroscientist extraordinaire. Amazing human being. Good to see you as always when you can drop in and take care. Yeah. She gonna close the door? Oh, good. Okay. Hey, you. Hi.
How's it going?
Long time no see. Good. No Tracy? Not tonight. Next time. Bring her. Oh, it's nice to see old pre-COVID faces. Young, old pre-COVID friends. Yeah, good. So welcome, everybody. I'm Chandra, and I'm here every Tuesday night, and at the beginning of every Tuesday night class, we do a prayer that you'll find on that handout that was given to you when you signed in. Page 1, top of it, it's called the Narayani prayer. It's from a classic Hindu text that contains various shlokas or stanzas to the devoted to celebrating the divine feminine. And so this prayer is one I learned from Karabai Sen, a Bengali teacher, professor, who I asked, could you share a Hindu goddess who is similar to, or if perhaps even the same as the Buddhist goddess Tara, the savioress, the Buddha, female Buddha of compassion. And I knew that there's some crossovers. There's Ugra Tara, she's dark, like blue-black in color, and fierce like Kali. There's a lot of crossover between the Hindu and Buddhist Tantra. So she said, come back next week and I'll bring you something. And so I was at CIS in a graduate program there. And so I came back the next week and she gave me this prayer. So in her tradition in Bengal, they believe that Narayani and Tara are one and the same. And Narayani is she who helps to protect beings, all beings everywhere. And that's Tara's main mission statement. So I love this prayer. I learned the melody from another friend and mentor of mine, Robert Svoboda. It's a classic melody that is done for these longer texts. So I figure we should do it. Why not do it every class? So tonight we'll do it 11 times. And I think, how many people feel like they have it memorized right now? Yeah, a handful. Good. Yeah, so these folks have been coming regularly. Sometimes we do it 3 times, sometimes we do it 11, sometimes we do it 21. And that's a way for you to just start to feel comfortable with the sounds. The translation's offered for you down there, so I won't, just below, and also word for word translation, so I won't go into too much depth in terms of teaching that. We will just drop in now and say it together. You can keep this handout if you want, or hand it back in at the end of class. Okay? So let's close our eyes for a few moments and take some breaths. The theme of this class overall is this releasing into presence, this unwinding of tension, of patterns that keep you frozen or held in a static kind of sense of repeat or rerun in your life, or just a feeling of being stalled or tense and uncomfortable. Particularly with the out-breath, take a few deep, luxurious in-breaths and release tension with the out-breath. Good. You can sigh if you want to. Relax the tension in your jaw and your shoulders, your face, your belly, the hips. A couple more like that. You can feel like the tension of the day, the work day, just kind of sloughing off of you like an old coat. And then as we begin to move towards the prayer, you can feel your heart space, the heart chakra, with the breath, with that release, just start to soften a bit and open like a lotus flower in the heart, blooming to the potential of the blessings descending and taking root within you, within your heart. Perhaps the energy of the goddess Narayani, Tara, or something greater than you, without form, a feeling, an inkling, whatever it is for you. And that's what singing and mantra and prayer can do, is help us to open the heart, open to the blessings. And then when you're ready, if you need to, go ahead and open your eyes and you can follow along in the prayer. I'll say the first line and you can repeat, and we'll do all 4 lines like that, call and response. And then after that, we'll do 11 total together. Sharanagata dinartha, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Narayani Namostute. Together. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Thank you. Okay, let's do some joint rolls. We'll do the seated version. First, we start with the feet. Let's take a moment just to massage our feet. You can start with the right. Just start to dig your thumbs into the sole of the right foot. Kind of pressing, you can even use the weight of your body to lean in and press with the thumbs into the line of the tendons that run from the heel towards the ball of the toes. And feel around for any areas of tenderness, like around the ball of the big toe. You can kind of circle around and feel the pressure points that feel tender to you. Iyengar, the great kind of Hatha yoga teacher, passed away a few years ago, many years ago, maybe 5. He said that we die from the feet up. So as we age, if we don't use the feet, if we don't kind of break up stagnation in the sole of the foot, we don't make sure the ankles are strong and flexible, that can affect the rest of the body. You can even now start to massage the toes. You may notice that certain times of your life, I've noticed as I've gotten a little older, is that just a little older. My birthday is on Saturday, so it's funny how I had to say I'm getting a little older. As I get a little older, I turned 50 on Saturday. Yeah, I'm embracing it now. The last 364, 360 days, I've been like, no. In any case, as we all get a little older, breath by breath, we start to feel things changing, and the soles of the feet, you can flex them a little bit, lengthen that piece. These tendons, ligaments, and tendons get shorter. So you need to really keep them long and healthy and mobile, because when these get short, what Iyengar was getting at is, as if these shorten, the calves shorten, the hamstrings shorten, the buttocks, the glutes, the low back, we start to feel pain all the way up the body, right? So even shoulder pain, neck pain can be traced down to the foot often. So take the other foot. So I have a Thai friend who learned Thai massage growing up in Thailand. And sometimes when she'd sit and watch a movie or TV, or we'd just be sitting on the floor talking, she'd just be massaging her feet. And that's what she learned, is keep the feet kind of flexible and happy and circulating. Doesn't it feel good? It's almost like getting a full body massage when you get your feet massaged. Yeah, so find those areas along the center line, along the inner arch, around the balls of the toes. You can start to deepen your breath. So I always do a little bit of movement before we meditate so that the body feels a little more happy to sit still. And something I don't always say at the beginning, but I want to say it tonight, you can even rub the ankle a little bit, is that I give you opportunities to move so that then when we sit still, you're more likely to be able to and get on board with not moving, with the meditation. Okay, so I'm not totally strict about not moving during meditation, but I want you to try your hardest in a very relaxed way not to move when we get still for meditation. You know what I mean? So get all your moving out now. Yeah. Okay. All right. You can take the soles of your feet and rub them. And then you can bang on them a little bit. So you always work with the foundation first. Yeah? Good. And then now let's take the right leg straight, or if you like to bend it, you can. Now, and then cross the ankle over the thigh, grab a hold of the foot, the tops of the toes, or interlace your fingers between the toes. Take your socks off if you can, and then stabilize with the other hand and start to rotate. 30 rotations. Palpate up and down the leg, meaning just the calf as you're circling. Yeah. Good. Again, finding areas of tenderness. Thumb and reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Good. Other side. Interlace if you can. Again, more stimulation for the feet is good. Stabilize with the right hand and circle. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I know not everybody wants to take their socks off. That's totally fine. You can do it at home. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Reverse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16, 17, 18, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Good. Straighten the legs, shake them out. Good. Let's just massage the knees, kneecaps, around the knees. Notice the muscles, the tendons that connect to the knee, rubbing up and then down. Just making sure that your knees are feeling pretty good. And then you can also take your palms and rub the kneecaps. I learned this from a massage therapist who is also a chiropractor, actually, that if you've got, you know how when you bend the knees, sometimes it goes, you can kind of hear, this is what happens as you get a little older. You hear like more noise coming from your joints and you're like, what is that? She's like, you can break up just sometimes little calcification that starts to build behind the kneecaps. You can break it up by just gently, don't force it too much, but rotating the kneecaps. Good. All right. So now sit in a comfortable cross-legged position. If lotus comes easy, do that. If not, don't even worry about it. It's not that glamorous, okay? So it's meaning the most glamorous thing is to be comfortable in meditation, be comfortable and safe with your knees. That is what I'm more interested in seeing you do. Now, if you are in lotus, take the hands on the feet and hold the big toes. If not, just bring the hands to the knees. Either way is great. Exhale, chin down. Now we do 5 rotations to the right. 1. Relax the shoulders. 2. 3. 4. And 5. Reverse. 1. 2. 3. 4. And 5. Come around to center. Inhale to neutral. Take the hands. Place the palms of the hands at the crease of the hips. Okay. We're going to circle the shoulders forward, up, down, and back. 10 times. 1. 2. 3. Really press at the crease of the hips as you come up the apex of the circle. 8, 9, 10. Good. And reverse. Back, up, forward, and down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Deep breath. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Hands, back of the hands together. Bring them in and then offer them out. 1. So the wrists stay kissing all around as you move. 2. 3. It's easy to let tension build in the shoulders as you do it. So drop the shoulder blades down the back. 4, 5, 6. Good. 7, 8, 9, 10. Last one. And reverse. Now you get to receive. You've made your offerings. Now the offerings are made to you. 4, 5, 6. Breathe into the belly. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now breaststroke. Make sure you don't hit your neighbor. 1. Palms forward and up. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get a little more heat going. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Palms up. 6. Palms up. 7. Back. Yes. 8. You got it. Good. Last one. There you go. Austin knows it because he's an old shadow yogi. 1. He's like, oh yeah, I know all this stuff. 2, 3, 4, 5. Never gets old, does it? Always good. Well, it kind of is something does it, yeah, but it's always good. Let's pretend that's 10. 1, 2. So this I learned these moves from my shadow yoga teachers. I used to teach shadow yoga. Don't do it anymore, but these are kind of classic joint mobilization exercises now, spiral, that you find in Qigong, Tai Chi, South Indian dance, martial arts. So nobody owns them. And they're good to do before we sit. Now we're working our way down from the head. We did the shoulders, elbows, wrists. Now we're doing the spine. Front hand taps the shoulder, back hand taps the kidney points, stimulating the lungs, the front, and the kidney function, the back. And I'm not counting. It actually doesn't matter. You just want to do a lot. Some days you can even do more than a lot. Some days you can do a little less. And last time to your left, hands to the thighs, circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Relax the shoulders. 7. The movement's happening at the navel. 9, 10. Reverse. 1. Good. 2, 3, 4. You're freeing up the energy at the navel, at the base of the spine. 9 and 10. Come to center. Inhale. Exhale. Now waving forward and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Coming up to neutral. Inhale and exhale. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple new things we haven't done in this class before. Speaking of lengthening the soles of the feet, come up onto your knees and sit on your heels. This is called Samasuchi. So you see my feet? So the heels are together, the sits bones are sitting on the heels, and some of you will find this very uncomfortable, and that's totally normal. If you need to keep your knees off at the beginning and just kind of come off the knees, you can do that, but you want to work towards bringing the knees down, and you feel why. This is really asking the soles of the feet to get longer. Yeah, good, and the toes to bend. So, and you've got a cushion. Imagine doing this on a hardwood floor. So let's take a few breaths here. Hands on the thighs. We'll take 10 breaths. And again, you can modify if you need to. Anytime you can come up, just try to stay on some degree of stimulating the sole of your foot, okay? Yeah, the knees are a little wider for some of you, a little wider. Yeah, good. Heels are together. Good. Wherever you're at, love it. Love yourself. Be patient and loving. And breathe. Release tension with the out breath. Notice if the face is tense, if the shoulders are tense, relax the shoulders. Last couple breaths. See if you're on the heels, see if you can really let the heels take the weight of the body. And breathe into the kidneys. Okay, so come down. Now bring the knees together and just come up onto your toes. Bring the heels up as high as you can. So come up onto the toes. Yeah, like this. Yeah, good. And your hands can be down. Now see if you can bring the knees up. Now the hands down, but knees up. Hands down, knees up. Come on, Kevin. I'm kidding. It's my boyfriend. I'm picking on him. See, extra special attention that you don't want. So good. Now from here, keep the hands on the floor and lift the butt. Oops. I don't have a belt to put that thing on, so it's just dangling. See if you can come into Uttanasana, but with the heels off the floor, and let the head bow a little bit. So you're lengthening the back of the legs, but you're up on your toes. You don't have to be high up. Bend the elbows if you can. You can keep the knees a little bent too if that's too intense. Let the head dangle. A couple more breaths. It's like Uttanasana, but in high heels. Standing forward fold. And then exhale, bend the knees, come down. If you're a little back, come a little forward because you're going to come down on the soles of the feet, but the knees are going to go wide. And then bring the hands out in front of you on the floor. Inhale, look up. So your feet are flat. See this? See what I'm doing? Your feet are flat and the knees are wide, if you can. If you need to be up on the toes, you can. But just try to work the ankles here. I'm intentionally challenging the ankles. Yeah, and then hands are flat. Look up. And then exhale, bow. See if you can get the heels to descend down to the floor. It's a nice release for the low back, and it also asks the hips to open a little bit. Yeah, so if you can, the feet are together. The feet are together. Yeah, side by side, parallel and together. And it's the knees that are wide. No, you're doing great. I'm not talking to you. Okay, now come up. Poor guy. Sorry. And then just sit back on your bottom. So there's more foot torture that I'm going to teach you maybe next time. But that's it for now. But let's take a moment here. That was kind of like standing Baddha Konasana. So now let's do seated Baddha Konasana with the knees out to the side. You can be up on a pillow if you need to. We're not going to be here for very long. I just want you to feel a nice lengthening up through the spine. If you want to interlace the hands around the toes, you can. And then straighten the arms and sit up nice and tall. Let the knees fall out to the side. Let the breath descend into the belly. And if you want to, you don't have to, but if you'd like to get a deeper stretch, you can bend the elbows and fold forward for a few breaths. Just touching in gently, not pulling, not pushing too much, just enjoying. The touching into the hips, the low back, letting the spine round. And then slowly inhale and come on up. Okay, so now we're going to shift into more of the meditative practice. We'll do some breathing. So taking a comfortable cross-legged position, either up on a zafu or on a chair. We're going to do the 9 purification breaths, pranayama from the Tibetan yogic tradition. So the main important thing is that the spine is nice and lengthened, reaching up through the crown of the head, and let the sits bones root down. Take an inhale and descend the breath down to the belly. And then exhale, release tension with the out breath. And you can start to feel that the body is not just flesh and bone, but also energy, movement. It's called prana or lung in Tibetan. And so start to kind of like plug into that wavelength within your inner life, the energy body. It's more subtle, perhaps vibratory. You may feel a pulse or rhythm in you. See if you can tune into a more subtle dimension of light and sound, energy. And then you can imagine that within this kind of container of sound, light, energy is the central channel that begins at the base of the spine, just in front of the spinal column, like a bulb at the base, and then it grows up, straight up, and terminates in a 1,000-petaled lotus, the crown of the head, within the crown. That's the central channel. It's the sky blue color. And it's about the circumference of your thumb, your own thumb. It's a funnel of light, like effervescent, subtle funnel of energy. And then the two side channels are slightly smaller. They're like the circumference of your pinky. And they begin at the two nostrils, respectively. They travel up and around the inner edge of the skull, like curving, and then down along parallel with the central channel on either side. And then they terminate just below the navel, 4 finger widths below the navel, joining in, like hooking into the central channel. So they connect there. They don't go all the way to the bottom of the central channel. It's about like, you could imagine like halfway between your belly button and the perineal floor is where those two side channels hook into the central channel. And for ease of visualization, we can imagine, for simplicity, that the right channel is white and the left channel is red. Again, they're funnels of light and energy. And through our life, actions, diet, lifestyle, karmas, and so on, these subtle energy pathways have become a little bit stagnant, maybe a little, stale or toxic. And so this breathing exercise that we're about to do is going to cleanse those channels of like a smoky vapor. We imagine it leaving the nostrils with each breath. And if you're new to this practice and want to watch, you can gently open the eyes and softly focus them upon me so you can follow along. Let's all inhale and exhale together. And with your next inhalation, slowly raise the arms overhead. And then exhale, make what's called Vajra fists, where you take the thumb at the root of the ring finger and then curl the two middle fingers around the thumb, and the other two are like that, but they're bent slightly. Okay? So let's do that again. When you're ready, inhale, raising. Exhale, lower, bring heaven to earth as you make Vajra fists, and then place the back of the hands at the crease of the hips. And if you can, straighten through the elbows or keep them bent or bring them down to the knees. Keep it breathing here. In either case, feel the arms encouraging the prana to consolidate towards the center, towards the central channel. And they say that the shoulders should be broad and the shoulder blades down down your back like the wings of an eagle. Take another breath here. Feel that lengthening through the spine, up through the crown of the head. Exhale. And now we'll all move together. I'll mirror you. With your next inhalation, raise the left arm out to the side, bend the elbow, Circle the wrist once and place the left index finger on the left nostril. Exhale through the right, cleansing that right channel. A smoky, white, leaving. And then release the hand as you empty. Now we do the same thing the other side. Inhale as you raise the right arm. Circle once. Place it. Exhale through the left nostril, cleansing the left channel, a smoky red. And then release the hand as you are about to be empty, so you have breath. Inhale again, other side, left side. You can imagine that you're breathing in rainbow light as you inhale, place it, exhale. Now it's a little clearer because it's the second time around. A clear white. Release. Other side, inhale, rainbow light. Bend, circle, place, exhale. Slightly less smoky red, clearing that red channel. And then release. Last round on each side, left arm, rainbow light filling every cell of the body, purified essence of the elements. Exhale, completely clear white right channel. Release. Last time, raising the right arm, rainbow of light, placing, exhale, left channel, totally crystal red. And release. Now both hands come down either to the hips or to the knees, arms straight. Let's take an exhale just to get our rhythm. With your next inhale, do a nice deep inhalation. And then it's a 3-part out breath, cleansing the central channel. Smoky blue as you go, third. A little less, and then a final push. Let's do it again for practice. Good. Inhale deep, cleansing the central channel, 3-part out breath. A third, another third. Good. Inhale, release the hands, exhale, palms down. Resting in wisdom prana. And feel the natural breath, the natural rhythm. And tonight we'll just do 5 rounds of the gentle vase breath. For those who have learned of all the details, to go ahead and do them. For the rest of us, we'll just do the counting as a way to get used to the rhythm, which is a 5 count on the in-breath, 5 count holding in the breath retention, and then a 5 count exhalation. Breathing through the nose. Let's just take a natural breath. Inhale, exhale. And then slowly inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Gentle out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 1. Feel like you're filling the torso with breath from the bottom to the top as you breathe in. 4, 5. Holding in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly exhale. 2, 3. And if this feels too long and slow, please feel free to shorten the breath. Do your own rhythm. And 5. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again. Inhale. 2. Nice and slow. 3, 4, 5. Holding in. Feel relaxation wash over you. Don't hold tension. 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And release control of the breath and breathe naturally. And then now we'll shift into our meditation. So the movement is coming into stillness. If you want to take a moment, please do so to shift your seat. Make sure you're comfortable and safe and in a position that you can hold with relative stillness, if not total stillness, for the duration of our sit, which will be 30 minutes. Good. How's the temperature for everybody? It's okay? It's cold. Am I? Yeah, I thought I was the only one. There's a heater behind you now. Hannah just walked out. She can probably. Can you help with us, Ariana? Thank you. Feels like the fan is on for some reason. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's settle in. So I'll guide the meditation practice and also allow some time for silence. This feeling of gliding into stillness, moving into stillness, this movement balanced by stillness. So now take a moment, don't settle in, and then you can take another 30 seconds to be like, am I all right? Am I warm enough? Am I in the right chair or seat? Hannah, could you help turn up the heat? It's feeling cold. Thank you. So the hands can be gently resting on your thighs, and the Dzogchen style of meditation is just a simple, unadorned. You think of it as kind of earthy. It's palms down helps to ground the attention to the earth. Shoulders relaxed down the back. The chest slightly buoyant. The chin gently tucked in. Lengthening the back of the neck, but not letting any tension form at the base of the throat. Relaxing the muscles of the face. The tongue gently resting at the upper palate, just at the root of the two front teeth. And then relax the lower jaw down, away from the upper jaw. And let the eyes be gently closed, or if you can or would like to experiment with the eyes slightly open, let them rest at an angle towards the floor. If the eyes are open, let them be relaxed, almost as if the gaze was vacant. Like you're gazing into the space between you and the floor. Feel the sits bones on your cushion, the hips, the belly, the pelvis relaxed, thighs, feet, everything aligned with gravity, at ease within itself, like a mountain. We're going to begin the sit with a little shamatha using an internal sound. This is called the Vajra recitation of the 3 syllables of Om, Ah, Hung. Om, Ah is just AH, and then Hung is HUNG. And we coordinate it with the breath. This is giving us an anchor for our meditative concentration of shamatha. So as we inhale, you imagine, you feel, hear the internal sound of Om through the length of the in-breath. Then at the pause at the top of the in-breath, Ah. And then with the out-breath, you hear the vibration of the sound Hum. So it's all internal. You're not visualizing anything. It's just sound, internal sound. Om with the in-breath. Ah with the slight pause at the top of the breath. Hum as you breathe out. Let the breath be at a natural rhythm. Don't force it or push or pull it. And internally, for some time, recite the Vajra breath. Om, inhale. Ah, holding for just a moment. Hum as you breathe out. So internally it might sound something like this. Om. Ah. Om. So let it be internal and at your own pace. Releasing distraction with the out-breath, coming back again and again to this anchor of the 3 Vajra recitation. Om, Ah, Hum. The sonic sound of Om represents the enlightened body. The sonic sound of Ah represents enlightened speech. The sonic sound of Hum represents enlightened mind. But without conceptual ideation, just letting those sounds resonate within you. Let the breath be natural. Don't try to lengthen it. It might even just be an internal Om, Ah, Hum, depending on the length of your natural breath. Do a few more minutes, releasing distraction that pulls you away from the Vajra recitation and feeling those portals to 3 doors of the body, speech, and mind, perhaps opening to that subtle luminosity within you. Awakened body, awakened speech, awakened mind. Om, Ah, Hum. And now let's gently release the Vajra recitation and start to, in a sense, open the aperture of our focus beyond the sound, beyond the anchor of shamatha with the Vajra recitation, to taking the mind itself as the anchor, meaning the space of the mind actually becomes your meditation focus. Just like gazing into space, you see all sorts of appearances arise and pass within that space. Likewise, the space of the mind contains thoughts, feelings, memories, projections, hopes, fears, feels, tactile sensation, all of it is filtered through the mind. Let's see if internally you can open the aperture of your shamatha. This is still shamatha, but taking the mind as the focus. This is called settling the mind in its natural state. Letting the domain of awareness be stabilized. And then as thoughts and feelings pass like clouds, see if you can not reify them, grasp onto them, follow after them. Just witness them and let them dissolve back into the space from which they came. In a non-reactive, non-clinging, non-rejecting way. This quality of mindfulness, Drenpa, is your friend here. This quality of moment-to-moment presence helps us not get pulled off of our focal point, which is not a point anymore, it's a space of the mind. Settle the mind in its natural state. Release distraction, release grasping with the out-breath, and come back to this quality of spacious luminosity, the nature of your mind. It's always there, this presence, just like the air you breathe. Nothing special. The challenge is to not forget, is to not get pulled away, to not believe what you think. And if the breath is a good anchor for you, you can always come back to the breath. And then open into settling the mind in its natural state again. Notice distraction pulling you off your seat. Just release with the out breath and come back to this quality of spacious awareness. It's that space within which all appearances rise and pass. In this way, everything is welcome here. And yet we don't have to feed it, or fuse with it. We can observe and let go. We can fix all of those problems later. Give yourself these last few minutes here. Fully be present. Stop putting off concentration. Right now. Right now. Stay. Stay here. Release distraction with the out breath and return to this quality of spacious yet wakeful awareness. And stabilize that. That is mindfulness. One tool for an overactive mind is to channel that action, that activity, by asking, who's meditating? Look, and then release and rest. Who is focusing the mind? You may not find any nugget of self in there, but the act of looking helps to focus the mind and then release into a quality of presence again. Really look at that self that you assume is there. Can you find it? Look and then release. And rest in the natural luminosity, limpidity of the mind. And then now gently close the eyes, and we'll end with a few moments of chanting the Tara. Her mantra Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Svaha. You can repeat after me. Om Tare, Om Tare, Tut Tare, Tut Tare, Ture, Ture, Svaha. Good. Om Tare, Tut Tare, Ture, Svaha. Essentially, it means Om, O Tara, be swift, O Tara, come near, so be it. And just listen and join when you're ready. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Svaha. 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 Let's dedicate any positive energy that's come from our collective practice for the benefit of all beings everywhere. Thank you. So I'd love to open it up for questions, comments. We have 5 minutes, and I like the group questions. I don't always allow time for it, but your question helps other people, so don't be shy about it. There's no bad question, only bad answers. So put me on the spot. They say a good, teacher, you need to bang them like a drum. See how they sound. You may be like speechless, who knows? Or maybe you've unified into the ocean of bliss, of Tara, who knows? You don't have to speak if you don't want to. If you have a question about, what about the breathing? What about the Vajra recitation? Yes.
Yeah. So about the breathing.
Yeah.
I know you said you didn't do the steps tonight, but
Yeah.
I was trying to follow the steps.
Good.
But I'm confused
Good.
about third eye swallowing, swallowing and closing the throat a little bit, and then
Yeah.
the pelvic floor lift. That kind of makes sense, but then the relaxation of the stomach is I feel like instead what I'm doing is I'm okay. And there's I can't even, it's either I'm holding it tight or I'm blowing out.
Yeah. It's just because it's new.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to kind of do the blowfish thing because you're so, I don't know if you are, but I was taught to hold it in,
Yeah.
I don't know if that was your
and
indoctrination at the same time. Right. So, and we had talked about maybe working it from the top to the bottom, right? Was that you who asked that question? Okay. Somebody else found it easier because another way that you can do it is, this is what she's asking about is the details that I didn't go over with the new folks tonight. Okay, so don't worry if it's okay. No, you have every right to, but don't worry if you're like, wait, I missed that instruction because I didn't give it tonight. But for those of you who are doing this, you inhale, and those of you who haven't learned it yet, you can learn it now actually because you're gonna hear me explain this. Inhale. And when you're full, you hold it in. The additional instruction is to swallow and then let the chin come down a little bit. That's called the Jalandhara Bandha. It's the throat lock. Maybe you've learned that in your yoga classes. So that's the first step. Some people find it nice to then relax the belly. And then once the belly's relaxed, kind of like a beach ball feeling, that's the blowfish joke she made. It's like you're not trying to have the hourglass bikini figure here at all. As you're letting it hang, yeah, then try to lift and do this with me right now. Then close the lower doors, which are the orifices of the perineal floor lifts slightly a little bit. Not a super strong mula bandha, like root lock, like a 5 or 10%, like you're trying not to pee, but just a little lift. Yeah, just a little. Okay, so let's try this. Exhale. Inhale. Fill the torso with the breath. When you're full, hold it in. See if you can swallow. Chin. Then let the belly come out a little bit. And then once that belly is soft, like a soft ball, then pull up the perineal floor just a little bit. So close the lower doors in that order. And then with the out breath, release the chin lock. Let the belly relax as you breathe out. If you can maintain the lift at the perineal floor through the whole arc of the breath, great, but that's kind of more advanced. If you need to, you can just relax everything with the out breath. And over time, you can focus on, can I just keep that subtle lift? It's very subtle. So maybe that might help you a little bit get the Because it's all important, but the main thing is that we're trying to get the prana to converge at the belly so that it's coaxed, the prana is coaxed into the central channel. Remember I talked about that once? Because those two side channels hook into the central channel, 4 finger widths below the navel. They hook in there. And so they say, the yogis say, is that if you can really cultivate the prana at the hara, the navel center, then over time it's, and it goes, and then you're in samadhi. You're like sucked into, and then like all time space collapses. You're there, but it's like you're aware, but it's non-conceptual, and you get, that's the yogic version of samadhi. That's the yogic pathway to samadhi, you see? So you can do it in Dzogchen without thinking about channels or pranayama or anything, and just enter. Because then the channels are just naturally, the energy is naturally converging into the wisdom prana, into the central channel. But through yoga, which is a more forceful practice, you can kind of engineer it so that you build and then it enters, and then you're more likely to experience that samadhi, which means total absorption. Sam is sama, like same, right? Like our same. A is an intensifier. D is to stabilize or to unify. So it's like total unification, total stabilization. Samadhi. That is shamatha, the fruit of shamatha, calm abiding. I hope so. I hope that's helpful. Yeah. Yeah. See, like one question can help me tease out the actual answer, but then teach from there, right? So that was good. That's a good. She asked a question from experience. Those are the questions I like. I said there's no bad question, but like those are the questions that are helpful because they're coming from her experience, right? And she admitted, I'm confused. It's awesome. It's a great place to come from. It's humble. It's honest. And she's working it. So I'm sure you all are in your own way. So I hope that you found that helpful, What basically this releasing into presence theme is like, we're working all sides towards the middle. We can enter through the voice, the breath. We can enter through the body. We can enter through the mind. We can enter through the heart, devotion. So we're releasing into presence through all those different doorways. Yeah, okay, 2 more. We don't have a lot of time, but I will try to be quick. Yeah.
I don't know if this question will make much sense or will be very simple. For the inhale,
Yeah.
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 This might be because I'm new to it, but I was having trouble focusing, and when you named what each thing represents, then I was kind of being with my sense of that thing while I was in each part of the breath.
Yeah.
And it felt cool, but I didn't know if that was what you meant or if that was overly conceptualizing it, kind of visualizing and adding things, or like sort of what is happening with your attention on each of those pieces, if you're supposed to be with them in each of them, or if that's just sort of background.
Yeah. It could be background. It is foundational. Like, most, as you study Tibetan Buddhism, you'll learn those are 3, the most common sonic sounds, sonic symbols that are used, the seed syllables, Om, Ah, Hung. So you will have learned that. I haven't taught that explicitly, so I wanted to drop it in like a little dose of little color of red, white, and blue, because they actually do have colors associated with them and then have multiple layers of meaning to them. But the main practice with the Vajra recitation is to stay as non-conceptual as possible and unify your attention with the sound resonating in you. So let the sound be your anchor. The sound of Om, Ah, Om. that be what the mind is tethered to as you're doing it. And it helps to keep the mind focused on that actual breath too, right? So instead of saying, be mindful of the breath, the in and the outflow, that's fine. And that the breath is a good anchor too. But we're adding the Vajra recitation to that as a kind of fortification of the anchor for the mind. And then it does open you to these deeper states too. So it's like you're creating the karmic seeds for that. So, and it seems like you felt that a bit. Yeah. So you feel it, but just don't get lost in conceptualization about it. But it's good. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Last one.
When you refer to the mind, I notice that I first think of my brain, but is there a certain part of the body that the mind refers to, or is it kind of intangible?
It's a good question. Yeah, it's definitely depends on the frame that you're coming from, right? Like in the West, we're taught to believe that the mind is the brain. But in South Indian thought, South Asian thought, like in India, the mind is considered to reside in the heart chakra, and it's chitta. And so they translate it as heart mind. So it's sort of a relative term, mind. So it's a good question. It's sort of like this slippery thing, like what is it? And just like, what am I? Is my mind an epiphenomena of my neurons? That's what modern Western materialists would say. But they haven't really been able to prove that, because you say, well, what is that? And they're like, well, we don't know, but that's what we think it is. But so the Buddhists posit that there's some consciousness apart from the brain. Our consciousness relies on this body. But when the body breaks down and can't support it anymore, then it moves on. Because it's like, I could go on and on. This is a huge topic. So when I say mind, your question was good though, because it was concise. So I would like to answer with a concise answer. Mind, when I'm talking about mind, I'm talking about chitta, or your awareness, that heart mind, consciousness. But even then it's a little tricky, because then like with the Buddhists, they're like mind, there's chitta, which is regular mundane mind, the thinking mind. And then there's vidya, which is awareness, which is like mind, but mind on acid, like big mind. It's awareness, but it's like nothing special mind too. It's Buddha mind. So you have mind, and then you have mind. You have the rerun mind, and then you have spacious mind. So sometimes this more spacious rikpa or vidya is called mind itself. Mind itself, chittattva, mind itself. That's the essence of mind. So that's what we're getting at. But we have to kind of sift through the surface mind, chitta. So I am not talking about the brain. But the brain is helpful, and we need the brain, Yeah, not the brain. Yeah, generally when you go to Dharma stuff, when they say mind, it's not the brain. It doesn't mean that the brain isn't important. It just means that's not what we're talking about necessarily. Although we are training the mind, we're also training the brain, right? We're training the neuronal pathways to shift, maybe out of negativity to positivity. Yeah. So there is influence. They are influencing each other. Did you ever read The Holographic Universe by Bohm? He's a quantum physicist. You should read that. He talks about an experiment with rats, because they're trying to find, like, what's the mind? It's kind of a crazy story, but I'll just say it quickly. They put a maze and some cheese or food at the end of the maze, and they systematically cut out parts of the rat's brain to find where is memory. Where does memory live? It's a horrible experiment. But like they cut out every single part of the brain that they possibly could without killing the rat. And the rat over time could still find the food at the end of the brain. Like They didn't cut out memory. And so what they deduced was that memory lives in the body, throughout the whole body. And then that kind of points back to like, the whole enteric nervous system has more neurons than the actual brain does. So like, we've been indoctrinated to think that we are the brain, and it's bullshit. It's not true. It feels that way because we have all the sensory organs up here, and so we feel like we're all up here because all of the senses are like, processing the world up here. But it's a big question, though. This is big debate. My main mentor, Alan Wallace, when I was at 4 years at the university with him, this is his main shtick, was this whole thing. That consciousness is not just an epiphenomenon of the brain. You can't prove it. Because the scientific materialists will say, when you die, you poof, no more Chandra, which is fine. I'd be okay with that. But Buddhists say, well, there's consciousness that moves on, But it's an open question. So the Dalai Lama says, why not live life as if there is something else, so that when that happens, you're ready. And if not, it doesn't matter. That's a pretty good answer or approach. Okay, I'll let you guys go. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. Normally we end on time, but those were good questions. And I had to pay homage to my old mentor, Alan. He's a very fine teacher. If you haven't heard of his books, look up B. Alan Wallace. He's written, I don't know, probably 30 books by now on shamatha, vipassana, dzogchen, meditation. Yeah, and feel free to come up if you have a question. Yeah, give it to the front. Yeah.
I also want to say this is a perfect release for the full moon because it's right today, and I kept feeling a lot of laugh and also happy birthday.
Thank you very much. What's your name?
Bree.
Bree. Nice to meet you, Bree.
Nice to meet you.
And I was going to mention the full moon, and I forgot. Happy full moon, everybody.